Imagine finding out that one of the wildest mind control conspiracy theories actually happened. And not in the shadows of the internet, but in declassified documents in US Senate hearings. This is MK Ultra, and unlike a lot of what we talk about on this channel, this one is not just a theory. In the early 1950s, at the height of the Cold War, the CIA launched a secret program to figure out how to control human behavior. The goal? Find drugs and techniques that could break people down, wipe memories, force confessions, and maybe even create Manchurian candidate-style assets. They called it Project MK Ultra. Over the next 2 decades, the agency funneled money through front organizations into universities, hospitals, prisons, and clinics. More than 80 institutions in total. Most of the people being experimented on had no idea they were part of a CIA program. Here's where it gets dark. Test subjects were dosed with LSD and other drugs without their consent. Some were strapped down for extreme electroshock therapy. Others were put through sensory deprivation, hypnosis, and brutal psychic driving experiments meant to erase their personalities. This wasn't one rogue lab. At Senate hearings in the 1970s, CIA Director Stansfield Turner admitted that dozens of institutions were involved and that Americans and foreigners alike were used as unwitting human test subjects. One Army scientist, Frank Olson, was given LSD without his knowledge and later died after falling from a hotel window. For decades, his family was told that it was his fault he went. Only later did the government admit he'd been part of a drug experiment. This is not Reddit. This isn't a speculation. This is on the record. So how did we even find out? In 1973, as Watergate was exploding, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered most MK Ultra files destroyed. 2 years later, the New York Times exposed illegal CIA activity at home, triggering the Church Committee in the Senate and the Rockefeller Commission under President Ford. Official investigations into US intelligence abuses. They discovered a small stash of MK Ultra documents that had been misfiled in a records center and survived the purge, about 20,000 pages. Those papers, plus sworn testimony from CIA officers, confirmed the program was real, and much of it had been aimed at US citizens on US soil. The Senate's conclusion was blunt. Prior consent was obviously not obtained from any of the subjects. So here's the part that should make you pause. If this is what we learned from the tiny fraction of the files that survived, what was in the rest? The stuff that got shredded? How many people were experimented on and never told? How many lives were quietly wrecked in the name of national security and behavioral science? And when a program like this can run for 20 years in secret, signed off by the Director of Central Intelligence, what does that say about what might be running now? Behind a different code name, with better lawyers and tighter security. MK Ultra isn't a rumor. It's a documented case where a crazy conspiracy theory turned out to be, in its core details, true. So the question isn't, did the government ever cross the line? We know they did. The real question is, if this is what we found out by accident, what would we learn if we ever got to see everything that they meant to hide?